Hello everyone, James Williams, Director of Programmes with MEF. You've just joined us. We're well into the swing of things with day 2 of MEF Connects Wholesale 2022. The topic area we are in the midst of right now is voice. We had a very, very nice analyst presentation from Patrick Christian from Telegeography. They're famous for their voice analysis globally, as well as, of course, other areas. And we've just had that followed up with Frédéric Frechel, SVP for Voice and Mobility Solutions with Orange International Carriers. Now we're drilling down even further into things, looking at things from a regional perspective, the challenges and opportunities. We heard very much from Christian in his analyst presentation about the challenges voice is having at the moment, but there are still a lot of opportunities out there. And I'm pleased to say that looking at this area is MEF member LANCK Telecom, who've kindly sponsored the session. Now, they have 4 people joining me today to discuss the area. And I'd first like to introduce Andrey Gribov, who is head of voice sales for LANCK Telecom. Andrey, hi.
Yes, hello, James. Thank you very much.
No, great having you. Could you just introduce, before we really get going, I know in your presentation, you'll no doubt have an introduction into LANCK Telecom, but how many years has LANCK Telecom been in business?
Yes, that's a very nice question. We are for 21 years in the business.
And I asked that because
is what we are started with.
Yeah, exactly. I asked that because you're exactly the same age as MEF, 100%. And I know from day one, you've been involved in the world of voice. Of course, your business has expanded into SMS and other areas of business messaging. But I just asked that question just to show the audience that you've had a lot of experience in voice. So you're bringing a lot to the table here. So joining Andrey today are Alexander Vavilov, who is the marketing manager for Africa. Hi, Alexander.
Hello.
You're muted. You're doing my usual trick. There
No,
we go. Hi, Alexander.
I'm muted. Hello. Good day. Pleasure to be here.
No problem. We can hear you. We can hear you. Anyway, I look forward to seeing you, Alexander, in person in Cape Town.
Definitely.
Because you, LANCK Telecom, have sponsored an event we're going to be having as part of AfricaCom and the Tech Fest on November the 8th in the Portside building. So I'm going to be getting to meet a lot of you in person, which is absolutely fantastic. So thanks, Alexander, for joining. Also joining us is Dmitry Antonov, who manages the Latin America side of things. Hi, Dmitry.
Hi, James. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Great to see you today.
Fantastic. And last but absolutely by no means least is the market manager for the Middle East and North Africa and South Africa, and that is Mikhail Borisov.
Hello, everyone.
Sorry.
Hello, James. Yes,
it's North America and South America. It's not NASA. Come on, James, get with the program. It's not North Africa, South Africa. It's North America, South America.
And South Asia, yes.
And South Asia. Thank you. I got there in the end with your help. So from that, we can see you've got some global coverage. Now, Andrey, you've got a great presentation. So you're going to be controlling that presentation and rolling with it, but all of you are having input. So take it away.
Yeah, thank you very much. Let me try to start. So far, I hope you have a nice, productive MEF conference. Speaking about our company, we're 21 years on the market, and the voice is what we started with. It's still the one of the most important products for us. We are considered it's a huge expertise on the market, and in general, the voice business is still here. Wholesale voice is still very important, and today's topic is about regional challenges and success stories. I suppose each region is different in terms of volumes, in terms of traffic profiles, prices, retail clients and businesses, voice products development. And I will briefly pass through some cases. So after we have time to talk with all attendees on this call. Let me start with Africa. Globally, telecom fraud has been on the rise, definitely. And the African region, particularly, has been heavily affected because it has high termination rates. Top frauds are on the screen. They lead to money and to reputation losses, to dissatisfaction of customers. And definitely here LANCK can protect partners from most of fraud types with our in-house solution, our fraud management system. 120 partners globally already using this and quite satisfied according to feedback. Another big factor in Africa causing the voice decline is OTT services, data solutions, value-added services. Here, I think it's a continuous process. It's an evolution. It's an evolution of voice. We cannot stop. So what we do, we offer not only our main premium, not our main premium product, which is our basic for conversational traffic, but we offer different tailored solutions, especially for enterprise customers, where we have we can check for the different types of fraud. An example, the new 1.1 2.0, and we can offer for our enterprise customers. They have some specific requirements. We can provide with additional features like fax support, DTMF support, two-way DTMF, the local traffic termination, for short duration verification calls, for traffic which is not conversational from P2P, but A2P traffic, M2M traffic, and much more. Go into this very hot abbreviation, yes, and we speak about Middle East and the Asian region. According to latest survey report from CFCA from last year, it's about 40 billion annual total global fraud losses. And about 10% goes to short stopping and call stretching. Short stopping is the situation when your call is redirected to another network, another country, to another destination. So when you try to call to Cuba and pay for it like 60, 70 cents, but you get your call to Guatemala, and you can one can spend half a minute, 1 minute, realizing that they not speaking to the people they should speak. They want to speak. Yes. The call situation is obviously a case when duration of the call is not equal for A and B users, and difference can be from half a minute to 2 minutes. It's mostly actual for higher destinations, and we see that this is it happens globally, but there is a case for Middle East countries where it happened even more. And in fact, it's these attacks, they harm everybody. Yes, the end users, the origination telcos, termination telcos, the entire community. It leads again to financial losses, to customer dissatisfaction, to privacy violations. And there is no one way to prevent this issue. You need to have a combination of anti-fraud solutions, automatic testing tools, manual testing, because automatic testing is a 0 duration or 1 second duration. You never see that the call is becoming stretchy after 2 or 3 minutes having the automatic test. One of the good solutions, of course, is to use direct routes, but it's impossible to use it from A to Z. So you need to have a right partner who is already taking these actions and fight against this type of fraud. Let's move to Latin American region, where we had and we still have issues with gray roads. We faced so many complaints from customers, from end users, and our constant work is to cover the region with directs. Some countries have 2-3 mobile carriers in place, and we need to be proactive in the region to help to stay on track, just to control the volumes, to have constantly the bilateral deals. That really we see already for the last couple of years when we're doing this, we see already very positive feedback from the customers and from mobile's partners on the other side of this calls. Interesting story. Most of people, of course, heard about this, the region-based rates and surcharged destinations, which started a couple of years and covered all the European countries, and now it's going worldwide. You can see it in some Middle East countries as well. The price of the call is based not only on the termination, but on the origination of the call. And here we see the not so many opportunities, but high risk, because there is no one standard of this division. You can be not only grouping by EEA and non-EEA countries. That can be different. There can be different grouping inside one country to different mobile networks. The price in the formats from the carriers you receive, the price notification can be completely different, and the differences in OBR rates themselves is very huge. It's an example on the slide about one of the UK mobile networks with 20 zones, yes, and the difference in price. That leads, of course, to CLI spoofing, to the masking of numbers, and to impossibility to project profit when 1 month of profit can lead with the 1 day of loss, which covers everything you earned for the month, for the 2 months, a lot of disputes, money losses, and risk reputation loss again. We don't see that solution here is to block the calls or to terminate everything only at the highest possible rate, like €2.5 not cents. Termination is impossible on the wholesale market. And we see that the best, of course, if traffic is manipulated or somehow not the real origination, it should be blocked, definitely, to avoid any disputes and problems with the mobiles. But the best solution is to implement the bidding system, which can hold all the complicity inside. We, I mean, some companies already implemented it, some others, they're not going to do it. We plan by the end of this year to upload all the rates automatically from our partners and to route them inside our system. And next year, we'll be able to send it in one unified format for our clients. Another problem globally is a huge amount of robocalls, scam, spam, phishing calls. On the example of United States, we can mention one of the solutions, which is possible to block this kind of illegal, annoying, not desired by the end users calls. Yes, this is still shaking. It was introduced a couple of years ago. It's a little bit costly when you try to implement it on your infrastructure, but it's free if you participate in this. And we do it. We are in the robot mitigation database. We follow all the guidelines. This is how it works. Definitely, there are some alternative solutions, I think, which can be in future implemented globally. There is one actually then is made by our partner. We have already cooperation with them. We use it for our internal needs. This is a maybe handshake company. These are 2 slides kindly added by our marketing team about some of our respected partners and the recent awards this and last year for the 3 main products we offer: voice, messaging, and anti-fraud solutions. I want to say again that voice traffic exchange is moving forward in all regions of the world, and it's really impacting only positively the lives of billions daily. So we are glad to be a part of it. Thanks for attention.
No problem. Thank you very much for that presentation, Andrey. So really giving us a great idea of the key areas, the key challenges in particular you were focusing on there, but there are opportunities as well. But let's go through things region by region. One region we talk about a lot is Africa. And I know you guys are very active within our commercial models working group. We have a working group called International Commercial Models, which looks at the whole area of SMS in plain language pricing across the world. And I've really noticed in the past couple of MEF events, from so many panels and so many discussions with companies such as yourselves, there's a link between commercial model and fraud. And that is in countries or where there are specific mobile operators, let's say where their commercial model they use varies greatly from other countries or other operators in the same country, there are higher incidences of fraud. And I think that is undeniable. So can we just talk about Africa? Because I know, Alexander Vavilov, I know on the African side of things, sub-Saharan Africa has the highest mobile data pricing in the world. So that's mobile data. And we're hearing here about the voice side of things. What are you in LANCK doing to try and educate the markets or the mobile network operators about the commercial model side of things? Because, of course, everyone wants to receive revenue, everyone wants to receive margins, but it has to be sustainable. And at some of the prices that you mentioned and we're hearing in the market, all of us, there is no sustainability, and voice is under threat itself because of the OTTs. So we've got to do everything we can to protect. So what are you as a company doing to educate the marketplace, the operators, etc.?
Yep, thank you. Thanks a lot. Africa is indeed one of the focused areas for us. And as you mentioned, looking forward to seeing you at AfricaCom at the event. I can say that recently LANCK Telecom got the award at the GCCM conference in June this year as African Regional Operator of this year. And recently, actually last week, we were shortlisted in the Global Carrier Awards 2022 as Best African Wholesale Carrier. Speaking about the cybersecurity, I think overall it's a big threat for many operators, but for Africa, I guess it's probably even more crucial. We are 100% sure that our anti-fraud system can definitely help, and a lot of carriers are happily using that. I would say the biggest advantages are that our anti-fraud system, it's in-house and it's working in real time. It's working on a signaling level. It's very easy to integrate, and we are really flexible with the models on how we work. So we try to be like a carrier for validated services, for voice, for SMS, and the anti-fraud solution. One of the models is that we provide it for free, capex free, for all the volumes that we receive, and this way the revenues, the margins are secured, and it really helps to work more with the high fraud destinations.
Yeah. So it's a tough tightrope because MEF, before every working group, we show our antitrust slide. We've got to be antitrust. We've got to protect the ecosystem. We've got to do it in a sustainable, legal manner. What do you do in these talks when you're talking with mobile network operators in particular about your anti-fraud solution, implementing it and advising? Can you advise on the commercial models, or you find?
Well, the model
it's not
that
the
I
place
mentioned
to do so. What's your experience?
The model that I mentioned works really good. So our anti-fraud system is provided for free for all the volumes that we receive, right? So this way we stimulate partners to send volumes to us, and we understand that in many cases there are commitments, right? But even like if we look at the basket model, we get some volumes here, there, especially as I mentioned for the high fraud destination. Our anti-fraud system is helping to monetize that. So like we help to cost save, we bring revenues, and we make it all secured by our anti-fraud. So I would say that's the idea.
Brilliant. Well, we'll be talking a lot more about that in South Africa, because Africa does have issues, as does the whole world, but Africa has specific issues, specific countries do. in terms of fraud. Let's talk about North American robocalling, because there was a great session actually talking, not touching, it was talking all about robocalling at our business messaging event in Amsterdam in June. So bringing you in, Mikhail, Borisov, robocalling, what's being done to combat that? Because I personally know, believe it or not, I still have a fixed line phone here, and practically every single call I get, it's, let's say, an unwanted suboptimal call, being very, very polite. So I'm here in the UK, and I know that it's a scourge all around the world, but I know it's something the US have been tackling in particular. So what are you seeing with regards to robocalling?
Yes, James. Thanks again. I have to say this is not the focus topic I want to talk to you about.
No, go. Yeah,
but of course, here at LANCK Telecom, as a global carrier and an operator, we aim to provide a complete package to our customers and our clients. And of course, robocalls has been one of the issues that's been on the rise lately. And as Andrey Gribov has mentioned earlier, we in the United States and Canada, what we have been using is the stir shaking as one of the methods to fight robocalls. But other than that, of course, this goes along with what Alexander has been talking about, the fraud management system that we have developed in-house that tackles not only different hijacks, fast schemes, but also robocalls, which has been proved to be very effective.
Good.
The key point here is that the system that we use, the in-house system that we use, is monitoring and blocking such calls in real time. So the calls do not actually reach the customers, the end users.
Fantastic. It's not easy to do, because in the world of anti-fraud, the worst thing you can do is to block legitimate anything, whether it's a legitimate voice call or a legitimate SMS. So it's a tough tightrope to walk, deciding what to block and not to block. And I think that can only be done with experience, as you guys have. You've got 21 years of experience. So that's really, really clear to see. Talking about Latin America, last month, we had MEF CONNECTS LATAM Brazil. Can you just give us a little bit more insight into particular threats? I know we had the presentation there, but you're definitely going to have a lot of personal insights. I'm talking Dmitry here, obviously, Antonov, into Latin America, particular threats you're seeing. We had the event physically in Brazil. We were online as well. Any particular insights into Brazil or other areas of Latin America? Anything specific you're seeing there?
Thank you for giving me word, James. Unfortunately, we didn't attend physically the event in Brazil. I know
you weren't able to, but yeah.
But I was watching it very thoroughly online, and I hope next year we'll meet in Brazil as well. One of the particular challenge I want to talk about today is actually gray routes, which are a big challenge for every mobile operator wherever we meet it. But since I'm talking about Latin America, our idea was to rethink the wholesale model. You know, we'd step out of the traditional wholesale and decided to develop more direct agreements with the mobile operators in every region. So basically, this allowed us to, to be safe just at one leg, to offering our clients the direct quality, which, assured us to get the faith of client, which is really important. We got it, and we assured the direct termination for our clients. Why is good for mobile operators? We gather the traffic from OTTs, from wholesale market, from the little retail customers for them, and this prevented the traffic flow to a gray market, which is obviously good for mobile operators, and we help them to monetize every minute of traffic they have, which are having less and less, thanks to OTT activity, but still, so and thanks to this model, we get to have constantly running deals with mobile operators, which helps us to control the market rates. We know what situation happening in every market, for example, and allow us to get more traffic from retail customers and from actually OTTs. Even though, and for example, little customers we cover with the anti-fraud, so they might be happy, working with us and safe,
I'm happy you talked about the little guys, because you've heard me so many times talk about the SMEs and the smaller companies, not just talking about the huge operators, the huge enterprises. And what you mentioned there, Dmitry, and your strategy working with the operators rings very true. We started off the event yesterday morning with Julian Watson, from Principal Wholesale Telecoms Analyst with Omdia, talking about the key trends in wholesale. And one of those was partnerships, and the fact that the traditional previous model, where let's say you were into the world of voice wholesale and you suddenly get into SMS wholesale. So you send your people out to go and suddenly get 100 connections with 100 different aggregators around the world. That used to be the case 4 or 5 years ago. Now it's different. And that trend, and it's as seen by Omdia and reinforced by so many others as well in the past few sessions, is actually a move towards the likes of mobile operators, or indeed companies such as yourselves, having fewer partners, but you're doing more with them. So companies like yourselves, originally possibly in voice, moving into SMS, and then moving into CPaaS, possibly for enterprises as well. That seems to be the way to go. So yeah, we can see that trend, and that's backed up by the major global industry analysts. Yeah, thank you very much. So just going back to, let's go back to Africa, Alexander. We heard Patrick Christian from Telegeography there talking about voice, talking about data, and he showed there that the cumulative annual growth rate from between now and 2028 for mobile subscriptions in Africa is 4%. Globally, it's 2%. In Europe, it's basically 0. So there's a huge amount of growth opportunity in Africa. Are you seeing that within your business too? So not just in voice, just thinking wider in messaging as well. Is Africa a key growth area for you? I think you've gone on mute. Alexander, you've gone on mute.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. Do you hear me now?
Yes, we do.
Oh,
go for it.
Yeah. So definitely. So we see some new streams, right? As Andrey mentioned, like the enterprise, for example. But on a general note, definitely some of the biggest growing countries population-wise, Nigeria, Ethiopia, DRC, we definitely see more and more like mobile users, and we get more volumes. And like for example, like recently, like in Nigeria, MVNOs will be coming, right? So there will be more and more models of how to monetize. Like recently, for example, in Ethiopia, Safaricom launched commercially in one of the big cities, right? So they got the license for quite some time, but now it's growing. So, I mean,
at last there is competition to Ethiotel, because for such a long time it was practically, I think, apart from North Korea, perhaps the only country in the world with one mobile operator.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, even if we look at what is happening recently, the players are trying to find new options. The telecom regulators are trying to monetize it to see the growth. So definitely. And
actually, that's a really good point, because very few people actually so far in relation to voice specifically have mentioned the R word, the regulation side of things, because voice has been around such a long time. As I mentioned, the first phone call, 1876. So it's been around for ages. What's happening on the regulation side of things? Do you see regulators stepping in more in Africa? This is for all of you, because you're representing the world here. Do you see regulators stepping in more because of voice issues, perhaps with the commercial model and pricing problems? Or are regulators staying fairly much out of the voice domain? What have you been seeing?
Well, I think it's getting more and more there. Like, for example, with the OTTs, the international volumes are like de facto blocked in some of the African countries, more or less the UAE, Dubai kind of style, right? And well, speaking about voice, like 11 years back when I joined LANCK Telecom, people were saying that voice is dying, but obviously it's not. It's growing, and I mean, even if we look at let's imagine if the OBRs introduced to more and more countries with more and more anti-fraud being implemented, right? It's like a revival of, even if we look from the OBR perspective, right? Answering to your question about the regulation side of things, I think more and more things are, many things are changing. So, like if we look at East Africa, in the Eastern African Development Community, like when there was like the ONA One Network era introduced to boost the calls between the countries, I think we will see things like that in other regions in Africa too.
Fantastic. Okay, thank you. Mikhail, just talking about Asia. We haven't talked about Asia. We've talked about Africa a lot. We've talked about North America. Anything you can say on Asia in particular?
Well, certainly there's one thing that we wanted to mention concerning the region. I mean, not just Asia in particular, but Middle East as well, is a fraud scheme that we call call stretching. Sometimes they call it smart fast, which nowadays it's a very big problem. It's enormous, especially for telcos.
I'd never heard of it until you mentioned it. Well, actually, I saw it in your presentation. But until then, at that point, and I went off and looked, I'd never heard of it. So literally, I try calling you. So I'm thinking I'm calling, let's say, Dmitry Antonov, but I actually get Alexander Vavilov at the end of the phone, just because it's a cheaper termination point.
Actually, this refers to short stopping. The call stretching.
Oh, sorry, short stopping. Sorry, call stretching is when you're making. Sorry.
Both approaches are actually very lethal to operators, because they harm the operators by billions of dollars. And as Andrey mentioned, in some of the countries, some of them even block the number ranges because they don't know how to fight this. And what call stretching does versus a legitimate call is that after about 3-4 minutes of conversation to a friend of yours or Dmitry, for example, a conversation will break up, and the fraudster will connect you to some recording or maybe it could be your conversation being recorded. It could be another recording, just random recording, but that would happen after 3-4 maybe 5 minutes.
From my perspective, I've hung up, I've put down the phone talking to Dmitry, but the call would continue.
You don't even hang up. It's
even worse.
In between, and the message starts playing. And the idea of this message is to keep you, the callee, on the line as long as possible, and to dig deeper into your pockets, taking the profits and putting them into the pockets of the fraudsters. And of course, you will be on the line saying, "Hello, Dmitry. Right? I don't hear it." The longer you are, the more money you spend, and
of course, if you're doing this in countries where, let's say, the quality of infrastructure might be suboptimal, and this is to be expected, the problem is even worse because those incidences are higher, plus the rates are higher as well. So
absolutely,
it's a double whammy. Yeah,
it was with me actually. So I was in one Central American country, calling to my friends to another neighbor country, and I barely can talk, because of smart fuss. It was horrible. So it hurts everyone. People on travel, business travelers, everyone.
Yeah, I haven't experienced it personally, and I wasn't aware. Wow. I wasn't actually aware of that, and I wasn't aware of short. I'm not aware of a lot, am I? So, yeah.
So this just to summarize from my side, the key strategies that we believe at LANCK Telecom is to firstly invest into a learning process of your staff, to educate, and we need to be on top of the new cases, the new schemes, how they operate. We need to understand them from in between, and to obviously want to know how they work. You know how to fight them, and this is what we've been doing rather successfully in the region of Middle East, North Africa, and Southeast Asia.
Yeah. So first of all, you've got to have visibility. Obviously, being able to gain control over the calls in the network, but visibility is key. But you touched upon that. Well, you mentioned it. You didn't touch upon it. You mentioned it. The whole customer care, customer support side of things is so important with operators. We talk about that within our payments working group too, because where there are issues, or let's say I had that situation calling Dmitry, and I had that situation and going, well, this keeps happening when I call Dmitry or whomever. I call my mobile operator and I talk to the support team, and what can be done? Because you're through to a generic contact center and there's very little that individual can do. And then you may spend an hour being pushed around various people, getting through a technical department, and you just give up. And then you see your bill at the end of the month, and the cycle continues. So it actually hurts mobile operators in terms of their cost base, having to take up the time from the support perspective as well. So it's a vicious circle. Yeah. Wow. Absolutely. Fantastic. So just closing up this, because we are very, very close to the end now, believe it or not. Our 40 minutes is nearly at an end together. Just going around each of you in terms of the world of fraud and voice in particular, what is the biggest threat? And let's look at it from your region. So let's start with Alexander, managing the Africa side of things. What's the biggest threat to your region?
Well, international refiling is definitely one of the biggest ones, with big difference between local rates and international rates. It's definitely a big one. SIM boxes. Again, I think the reason is that with some of the African countries, well, many of them have one of the highest termination rate for voice, right? Especially for the little islands and the high fraud destinations. And I would say these two are the main ones.
That's fantastic. No, thank you. Moving to you, Andrey Gribov, what would you say? I know because you're looking at a global level, but the one that stands out to you.
I can mention about European issues and threats, because we don't have market managers from both Eastern and Western Europe. Yes, and these OBR changes, that's, of course, this is opportunity. This additional revenue for mobile carriers who terminates, but for the market of wholesalers and markets for the clients, that's a threat. This is a problem. This is an issue. This is a thing they should know how to work with. Yes, and having like 10%, 20% of traffic, which is in fact not legal because of manipulated A numbers, that's a big threat for in the end of the day for the carriers itself. Though they have high revenues, they have so much of traffic which is manipulated.
So there we have it. So from Alexander, in Africa, it's based on the commercial model. And with you, the example you give in Europe, it's driven, all this is a result of the commercial model being employed too. Yeah, so Mikhail, over to you, the same question.
For me, it's simple. As I mentioned, the call switching and the short stopping is on the rise. And as you rightly said yourself, not everybody is aware that it exists. But we're here to identify and block it before it goes global.
Perfect. And it's about that awareness and education. And our next session coming up after is really all about awareness and education about another issue related to voice as well. So Dmitry, your comment and closing remarks from LANCK.
Actually, I agree with Michael. The commercial threat is commercial threat, but if it threat for end up users it's worse for everyone, because we are people and we are telecom people. We should have responsibility for all the telecom industry and all the quality we deliver to end up people, which is I guess it's most important thing.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more. So here at MEF, it's all about the growth of your business, the growth of the industry, but all this growth and the proliferation of services which are hopefully there to make a positive impact on everyone's daily lives around the world has to be done in a sustainable way, protecting consumers as we go. And it's great having LANCK Telecom as a strong MEF member doing exactly that. And thank you very much for sponsoring the event, and thank you very much for joining me today. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you, James.
Bye.
Pleasure is
Thank you, James.
Thank you,
Thanks,
James.
everyone.